Hello everybody and welcome to Geopolitical Trends. My name is David Oualaalou. So good to be with you as always. The CIA director and his counterpart from Russia will be meeting in about 2 weeks in Egypt. But there was a meeting only a few days ago. In this video, I am going to provide you some insights as to what was the meeting is all about and what the next one is going to be addressing as far as the topic. So before I delve deeper into that issue or that topic that is, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so you will be notified every time I upload a new video. And thank you for your support. So here is what happened. A few days ago, usually matters of intelligence, as one who works in Washington again, it's matter of intelligence do not get reported much. So, basically on Monday, it was a meeting in Ankara, the capital of Turkey, between the CIA director and his counterpart from Russia. So the two had to meet. Usually that's the norm. It happens between the head of the intelligence services. They meet once in a while. It's just the circumstances now are very, very different. So, because this meeting that took place in Ankara was rare, very, very rare given the circumstances again. But they're going to be meeting again in Cairo about between the 29th and the 5th of December. So they are expected to meet in Cairo at the end of this month and the beginning of next month to discuss. It is what they're going to be talking about. Usually this is just for a formality, shall we say. There will be other sensitive matters that will be discussed, But they're going to be talking about the Strategic Offensive Arm Limitation Treaty, known as START, So the director of the CIA, William Burns, will meet his counterpart, Sergei Naryshkin, in Cairo. But they already met in Istanbul, in Ankara, as I mentioned earlier. So the Russian Foreign Ministry basically said that the upcoming meeting, in Cairo, between the Russian intelligence and its American counterpart, it comes at the initiative of Washington. So Washington wanted the meeting. Makes you wonder. There are two possibilities to that. To ensure, of course, the continuation of the START treaty. And the second, it has to do maybe with the war in Ukraine. Is the US looking for a way out? Usually, in my experience, the intelligence agency can pave the way for that kind of a direction. So, and as I said earlier, the meeting will be held between the 29th of this month towards the end and the 5th or the 6th of December. So, here's the thing. In my assessment, Russia does not, and I say this, Russia does not want to cut diplomatic ties with Washington. They would have done it since the beginning of the war in Ukraine. But that is what will happen. And again, that is what will happen if the United States or Washington, that is, decides that it does not need the relationship with Russia. In that case, Moscow is going to shut the door and it will be a different game altogether. Forget about whatever, especially when it comes down to Ukraine. So they're going to be talking about the sensitive issues, as I mentioned. Usually the START will be talked about, but there are other sensitive matters that's going to be addressed. And if I am to guess, that has to do with the Ukraine, because now both Moscow and Washington are realizing how much lies Vladimir Zelensky is feeding the West. Because that could bring the two countries, United States and Russia, on a collision course, basically. And we all know what it means. Superpowers, nuclear powers, you all know what the outcome is. And second, they are also domestically at home. You start to hear now that the American people are start to be fed up with this aid to Ukraine, which, by the way, crossed over $91 billion so far. So Americans are starting to say to themselves, okay, enough of this. It has to stop, because there is no end in sight. Otherwise, American tax dollars, while Americans are suffering, economically speaking, their money is just being wasted and used somewhere else. So the Russian Deputy Foreign Minister, Sergei Ryabkov, he mentioned that the meeting between the CIA and the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service will discuss, and I put this in quote, important and sensitive issues. That's what it will be. So it will be very, very interesting to see what's going to be left, what's going to be sort of managed, or what will come out of this. And as I said again, most of those kind of meetings, it won't get reported. Basically, both intelligence agencies will want to leak some information based on what they want the perception to be. It's all about perception. So if you realize that it was an intelligence officer in the US intelligence community that leaked the information about, oh, it was a Russian missile that landed in Poland, when it wasn't. So even the White House now saying that the CIA and the director of CIA and his counterpart a meeting will discuss the nuclear threats. In addition, because the last meeting they had, they talked also about another issue, which is the issue of an American prisoner. Her name is Griner. Well, Griner, in case you do not know the background, Griner is an American women basketball star. Her name is Brittany Griner. I'm very familiar with her because I used to watch the game when she would play at Baylor University. So she was convicted of deliberately smuggling drugs into Russia and was sentenced to 9 years of jail time. That's how the laws are in Russia. We can't assume we go to another country and just do whatever we want. Same for us. We don't want someone else to come to our country and just break the laws and do whatever. So what's interesting about all this, the encounter between the CIA director and his counterpart, is that it's very rare, given now, as I said, given the relationship between Moscow and Washington have deteriorated to the lowest point. You know, it was even during the Cold War, and I was following what was going on. I never expected to see it this way. Even when we supported, for example, the Mujahideen in Afghanistan against the Soviet Union invasion of Afghanistan, even though it was an invitation because the central government back then invited the Soviet Union. So the historical record is kind of being manipulated as to, and I disclose this in my Russia book, as to really what happened for how the Soviet Union ended up in Afghanistan to begin with. Of course, the West has to spin the narrative by giving it the term invasion, and that's what it was. So basically, what's going to be happening now is that, if I am to guess, they're going to be talking about the nuclear aspects of it, but also they're going to be talking about, okay, is there a way of how we can end this war without having anybody lose face? Because if the US declares the end of it, that means they lost. So that's how it's going to be perceived. It's all about perception, especially in the intelligence field, how things are perceived. This is why, as I said again, the intelligence officer from the US leaked that information about the missile landing, the Russian missile landing in Poland, when the truth is it was not. So manipulation play a major role in to sway the public opinion one direction or another. And again, because the American people are getting fed up with this aid to Ukraine nonstop, and it has to end, basically. We're all witnessing what's going on in Europe. I'm sure you're aware of the massive demonstrations that's taking place in Europe, and we don't hear much about it. And as I said in one of my videos before, that the demonstrations is not about just economic or energy. Now they are anti-NATO, because they want an end to this war, and they even want an end to this NATO altogether. So this is why I wanted to just highlight to you something Usually it doesn't get reported, first of all, because of the sensitivity of it, and rightly so. Every country has that. Every country has an intelligence service. Every country keeps its secrets. We do have ours as well, and just part of how the system works. So I hope you find this information informative. And as always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.